do you see people struggle with the most when they're going through separation? Because obviously you're seeing this day in, day out.
Yes. So, what I see quite a lot is that people lose their identity when they go through separation, and they also lose their confidence. And then quite often they end up giving their power to their lawyers, and they make the decisions for them rather than they making their own decisions. And I think a lot of that is because they fearful of the unknown and of what might happen to the money. They don't really know what's going to happen with the children. So unfortunately, a lot of them act from fear rather than from knowledge. So I think it is quite important that people get information quite early on so that they know how the process works and they can then make their own research. They can get some information from financial advisors so that then eventually they can work out their own solutions rather than just being reliant on other people to do all that for them.
Welcome to the Heartbreak to Happiness Show with Sarah Davison. If you're struggling with a breakup and you feel shocked, angry, betrayed, devastated, or sad and alone, then this podcast is for you. Best-selling author and award-winning host Sarah Davison shares how you too can get on with your life to heal, grow, and move from heartbreak to happiness. Here's your host, Sarah Davison.
Welcome back to the show. Now, today I am super excited to have a very special guest. We have Kerstin Thode. Now, Kerstin is one of my accredited breakup and divorce coaches. And she is also a best-selling author. And Kerstin is a solicitor, collaborative family lawyer, mediator as well. So we're getting all that experience today. So I am super excited to welcome Kerstin Thode to the show. Welcome, Kerstin.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, I am excited to be for you to be here today because you are joining me from a completely different time zone from me here in London. You are in Australia. Tell us a little bit about where you are, Kerstin.
I'm in Coffs Harbour, which is halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, and it's about 8:30 at night here at the moment. So, yeah, definitely different time zone to you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, your accent doesn't sound particularly Australian. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in Germany on a farm, and then I was traveling the world, as you do. And I met my husband, and then I decided to move to the other side of the world, which is Australia from Germany. Yeah, and that's why I ended up in Coffs Harbour.
How did you get into doing what you do today?
So, yes, so what happened was I was a lawyer in Germany, and I just basically was accredited and was working, and then I decided to move to the other side of the world and realized that I wouldn't be able to work in Australia, which was a bit of a shock at the time. So I lost my identity essentially while I was doing it, was quite frustrated, and I was working in a takeaway shop, burning myself on the hot stove. I was then starting to become quite frustrated and was blaming my husband for my situation. But then I kind of realized it's not his fault. It was my choice to move to the other side of the world. And because I had then given up my power, I realized, okay, I had given it up, but I could also just take it back, which is what I then did. So I restarted my career, started with my studies again, had little children at the time, and it was quite hard, but eventually it worked out for the best. So I now work again as a lawyer in Australia. I've got my own firm in Coffs Harbour for the last 7 years now. And yeah, really enjoy that.
I love that. What an amazing story. I think a lot of people think that life changes, they're scary, aren't they? Because we don't like change as human beings. Most of us would prefer to stay with what we know. So it's a massive thing to move to the other side of the world and then to get there. And then obviously things change and you're starting to find your feet. But to be able to make that decision, I'm going to change this around, take my power back. Absolutely love that. Right up my street. You're obviously dealing there in your firm. And congratulations, by the way, of setting up a whole new company in a completely different country.
Thank you.
From your experience, yeah, absolutely. What do you see people struggle with the most when they're going through separation? Because obviously you're seeing this day in, day out.
Yes. So what I see quite a lot is that people lose their identity when they go through separation, and they also lose their confidence. And then quite often they end up giving their power to their lawyers and they make the decisions for them rather than they making their own decisions. And I think a lot of that is because they fearful of the unknown and of what might happen to the money. They don't really know what's going to happen with the children. So unfortunately, a lot of them act from fear rather than from knowledge. So I think it is quite important that people get information quite early on so that they know how the process works and they can then make their own research. They can get some information from financial advisors so that then eventually they can work out their own solutions rather than just being reliant on other people to do all that for them.
Yeah, I know. I was terrified when I was going through my divorce process, and I hadn't realised how intimidating family lawyers actually could be. I mean, I went to a firm in London and they were lovely. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were the nicest people and kind, but it was very intimidating because you guys speak a different language to us. You speak in the sort of legal jargon with terms, words, and so acronyms for things. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I feel like I
Yeah.
should. Felt like I was at school and I didn't understand what the teacher was saying. So instead of putting my hand up and saying, I don't understand, because I didn't want to feel like an idiot, I just didn't say anything. So I know you personally, we've met several times. I know you've flown over from Australia for the coach training and some of the events that we put on here. I know you're super warm and friendly. That makes a massive difference to clients, doesn't it? How do you approach that when someone's super nervous and they come into you?
So often I just get them settled in first. So we were just having a chat about things and then I ask them basically some questions so that I can get the information that I need from them. And then we go through what, for example, if they want to talk about the property settlement, I then ask them specific questions about it. So then I can eventually get all the information that I need. And then I give them advice and I tell them how the process works and what's going to be next so that they don't sit there and worry about it. So I think that's really important for people to know how it all works, which is part of the reason why I now also have done some online courses. I created them so that people can learn how to do the property settlement in Australia. They will come out in March. So I'm quite excited about that one. And I hope that a lot of people will learn how to do it themselves that way. Obviously, it's still important to get legal advice. I'm not saying this is replacing it, but it's definitely something that will help them along the way.
So you're kind of doing yourself out of a job, Kerstin, by creating courses to help people to do it on their own. Or is this sort of background knowledge they have a bit of a deeper understanding?
Yes, that's right. In a way, that's correct. But I also still think that they might need to get some legal advice along the way. And they also definitely need someone to draft it up for them properly. So it's not, I wouldn't say that to do it yourself. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, definitely not for me anyway. Okay, fabulous. You talk a lot about collaborative law. I know that exists around the world, but can you explain to me and our listeners what is collaborative law? Because we're faced with so many different options, aren't we, when we're going through a divorce? Do you do it online? Do you go to a lawyer in person? Do you do collaborative law? What's the difference? What is collaborative law and how is that different from what you would get if you walked into any lawyer's office?
So collaborative law is something that is not very well known, like you just said. A lot of lawyers don't even know it, which is a bit unfortunate because I think it's an amazing process. So what happens is instead of writing back and forth between all the lawyers, you have a lot of collaborative meetings and you work out where to go from here. So instead of writing 20 letters and asking for 20 different things, you have one meeting, we get together, we work out, okay, this is the next step. We need to have disclosure. We need to get valuations of the properties. And then we meet again. And then after that, we can maybe get a financial advisor involved into the sessions. They can give some advice in terms of what they think might be a good option. And then people look at different options and come up with a solution that will hopefully work for them a lot better than what it would if they went through the court system and a judge makes that decision for them. So in collaborative law, you can also have like child experts involved if it is about parenting. So it's not just about finances. It can be both. And I think that's quite good because then you can get the voice of the children into it as well. And you have collaboratively trained lawyer. So part of the whole process is that everyone is signing a contract that they're not going to court. So even the lawyers have to sign that. And then if for whatever reason the process doesn't work, those lawyers can't continue to act for them. So they actually have an interest in getting the matter done rather than not getting it done.
I guess that's good because then it focuses everybody on getting an outcome that everyone's happy with. However, if it doesn't work, you've got the cost of starting all that over again, do you?
Yeah. So I think it's important that both parties are committed to the collaborative process. So if one of them has doubts about it or is not really committed and is just doing it as lip service, then it might not work that well. So it is something that can work really well, and it preserves the relationships between the parents, for example, if they still have to co-parent afterwards, which I think is quite important for them long term.
Yeah. And as somebody that's involved in this process, what difference do you see in those clients when they're part of the decision-making process more with collaborative law than maybe having those decisions made for them?
So yeah, they have a lot more ownership of the process, so they can decide where to go next and what needs to happen. And they're also more confident in making the decisions because they're part of the process. And the communication between the people improves a lot, which is great as well. It's good to see that. And it's not so much about winning like it would be if is in litigation. It's really about just working out the solution and problem solving, which I think is a better way of dealing with it.
So a lot of people listening will be going through toxic relationships, dealing with domestic abuse, maybe narcissistic abuse as well.
Mm-hmm.
How can this process, because collaborative doesn't kind of work with perpetrators, how does this process work for people that are in those toxic domestically abusive relationships, or doesn't it?
It can in certain circumstances. I'm not saying it works in every case where you have domestic abuse. It can work if both parties agree to the collaborative process. And then you can even out the power imbalances because you can have a financial advisor in there that helps them, the person that maybe has been part of financial abuse, so they can understand the situation a lot better. And then that evens out the power between the parties. So I think it can work, but both parties need to be committed to the process, unfortunately. Otherwise, it's not going.
I guess the challenge you have, and I would be wary of, is that they may say they agree with the process and they're going to be collaborative, but that we know that isn't a characteristic that they have or will ever stick to. So yeah, that's a bit of a challenge. So maybe not the best for them, but with collaborative law, there are lots of different people that you can bring in, right? So you mentioned they're a financial advisor, but there are other people you can bring into the process. And because I know as a coach, I've been asked to be part of collaborative law pod, I think they called it to me over here in the UK. So explain how that works.
So, I mean, divorce coaches could be part of it as a support person for the person that has been the victim, for example, of domestic violence. So that would definitely be helpful for them to have that there. So I think that would be a good idea. I haven't seen that yet, but I think I can imagine that would work really well. But
and who else is part of the team? So you've got a lawyer, you mentioned a financial advisor, potentially a coach. Is there anybody else that comes into that pod?
The coach is it's kind of like the mediator. So the coach is the one that runs the whole conference, essentially. And they also discuss with the lawyers and the parties what should happen next and where to go from here. So the coaches are actually just similar to a mediator in a way. So they're not like a divorce coach that's helping people step by step. It's more like a neutral person in that context.
Okay. All right. So with collaborative law, then you've got a lawyer and the mediator and a financial advisor. And then if somebody would like a coach, I mean, I have been asked to be part of these pods, so I'm not sure how that would work then, but maybe that's a UK thing rather than an Australian thing. But just to come in and just give support to, I guess, both parties. But when they're amicable, that's okay. When they're not, I guess that's more of a challenge.
I think you could also just give support to that one person that needs the support. So that's the beauty of collaborative, because it can be whatever you want it to be. So it doesn't follow particular strips. Like in mediation, you have to see that there's no power imbalances and it's difficult sometimes to get a support person in. But in collaborative law, that's different because it will be discussed what's going to be the best way forward, what's going to work best. And then all parties try to work on that. And often it doesn't need that many sessions. So often people can come to an agreement within like 2 or 3 sessions and then they're done and that's it, rather than writing lots and lots of correspondence between lawyers back and forth.
Okay, so I guess then from my perspective, listening to what you said there, I think collaborative law can work really well if you're amicable and you want to come to some sort of agreement. You know, you want to build your own team. You don't want to be confined as much by the rules of like traditional divorce lawyers or mediation. You've got some flexibility there, and it gives a bit more of an amicable feel to it. And I love that. And I think if people can divorce that way, then I think that's great.
have a lot of clients that are very amicable and they just basically need a little bit of help on the way. So they come in, they get some advice, then they get back to talk to their ex-partner, they work out an agreement, and then they come back and write it up. So I would say probably 50% of my clients work that way. So it is something that can work quite well if you have the right people for it. Obviously, it doesn't work in toxic relationships. But
yeah, interesting. Okay, perfect. So I know you talk a lot about education for clients to really understand the process. I think a lot of people are so overwhelmed by it, they just hand their control over to the lawyer and say, you make the decisions.
Hey, it's Sarah here. Just to remind you that we have 3 online support groups where you can find your tribe and get coaching support from my elite team coaches to help you with any kind of breakup, divorce, separation, toxic relationship breakdown. Get your questions answered and get the boost you need. Also, if you'd like to join our coaching community and turn your pain into your superpower and become a breakup and divorce coach with us, then you can also find the details on my website, sarahdavidson.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.
They just hand their control over to the lawyer and say, you make the decisions. Why do you think it's so important, and why in your practice do you put so much emphasis on people having the ability to really understand what's going on for them?
Yeah, I think it's super important for people to know how it all works, because a lack of understanding can really create anxiety for them and sometimes panic. And then they make panic decisions. And sometimes then they come to me after they've made those decisions and it's too late because they've already agreed to something that they shouldn't have. So fear can really come in when you uncertain about the process and how it all works. So that's why I think it's really important for people to come in early and to figure out how it works and then make decisions rather than the other way around. Yeah, my key advice would be for someone to see a lawyer early, get the advice, go back, think about it, maybe get some information, do your homework, work out your finances, have a chat with a broker to see what you can and can't do. Have a chat with your ex to see what they want to do. And then if nothing works, you can still go the other way. You can still do mediation and litigation and everything. But a lot of people are able to work it out themselves.
Yeah, which is great. I don't see many of those, Kerstin, over here. My clinic's full of people that can't figure it out, can't work it out. So it's good to know there are some people, even if you're the other side of the world. I love it. Okay. You've trained with me, Kerstin, and you've done my breakup and divorce coach practitioner, my master practitioner training, which is specializing in toxic and abusive relationships. And you've even done the platinum practitioner and learned how to run breakup recovery retreats for me. And I'm super excited that you're actually launching your first breakup recovery retreat in Australia. And it's the workbook that I trained you on that is my proven techniques that will change lives. And I've trained you to deliver that with another one of our coaches, Bev. And I'm super excited that you guys are running that together. Tell us a little bit about the retreat that you're planning and that's coming up soon.
Yes, I'm super excited to run that. We're really looking forward to it. So what we're going to do is we run your proven divorce recovery retreat. So we work with that. But we also have a mindfulness teacher that will work on mindfulness. And then she will also do some sound healing at the beginning as well. So it's going to be more holistic. And I'm quite excited to run it that way. And we thought that Australia is so beautiful with its beaches and rainforests and waterfalls. I live next to all of that. So it's a perfect environment for a retreat. And yeah, I can't wait to share it with people. I think it's important because people are often exhausted from the process, and after separation, they just need to have a bit of a kickstart again and find themselves and have the space to actually do this. And we're hoping to offer that to them.
It's amazing. I mean, I've been running those retreats for, I don't know, about 12 years. I think I've run about 50 of them now. And the results in the 2 days that it lasts are life-changing, not only for their clients, but also, it's so much fun to be part of a group and find your tribe, isn't it? Because you bring those people together, they don't know each other, and everyone's going through a lot. And you come in very often, I see my clients are lost or a bit nervous, not sure what's going to happen. It's kind of strange, a breakup recovery retreat. I'm the first person to ever run those, so I know that people come in going, what am I doing? Why am I here? But actually, very quickly, the process is designed to help you relax and find your feet. And obviously you guys are going to be running that together. Your great personalities, the two of you. You bring so much with your legal background as well, which I think is going to be very reassuring and help people get even more out of it. Bev is such a wonderful coach, but also she has a background with counselling and other skills that she brings to the table. So that's an amazing combination. And I love the sound baths. I mean, I think that's fantastic. So sounds like an amazing combination. What are people going to get from it, do you think, Kerstin, when they come to the 2 days with you?
I think they will feel a lot more relaxed and relieved after that. I think a lot of people feel stuck in the situation even after the legal process has been done. And I think they just need that little bit of extra help to get through it and to be able to just move on with their lives and to see a future that they're excited about rather than dreading it. So I think the idea is really to create a really good space for them so that we can teach them some of the tools that you taught us, which work really well. So I can't wait to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's transformational what happens on those 2 days, because you're providing a toolkit to help people take their power back, process some of those negative emotions. So how do you get rid of them? How do you detox out some of that stuff that keeps you awake at night, the heartbreak, or the betrayal, the cheating, help you overcome the dynamics of helping your children to cope better, looking after yourself. I think a lot of us, when we go through a breakup and a really tough, traumatic time in life, that self-care goes out the window. Very much on maybe just surviving, and that might be eating crisps in bed and not exercising or eating food that's any good for us, but also that doesn't help us help our children or work well with our lawyers to make better decisions, or the mediators to sort of make good decisions. So the retreat, I designed it initially to really help people get that clarity, help to slowly sort of detox out some of the negative emotions that are controlling you, and be able to learn about how you can dial down those negative emotions. So you can choose how you react, and you can flip this on its head. And I've seen so many people turn up on day one of those retreats saying, I don't think anything's going to help. I haven't laughed for a year, or I've just cried every day for months, or nothing's going to shift this. My ex is being so cruel. Nothing's going to change it. But actually, just coming together and kind of being immersed for 2 whole days, we start with getting rid of those negative emotions. Then we bring in the empowering toolkit to help rebuild your life in every area, and anything that's worrying you, we deal with. There's tools in the training for that. So that as you come through the retreat, by day 2, even in the morning on the second day, they've got a spring in their step. Everyone's feeling like they've bonded, they've found their tribe. They've got through some of those difficult emotions and they're ready to move on. So it is a real transformational experience. And I've been running it here in the UK for so long. I'm just super excited that you're taking it over to Australia, that you're going to put on the retreats and going to share those tools, because it is transformational and it will help so many people. So yeah, I'm really excited to watch this space. Where can people find out about those retreats?
So all the information is on our website. So if you go to rechargedivorcecoachingandretreats.com.
And I think if you go there and click on the link, just find out more and have a look, because if you want to go to Australia, fantastic. If you're already in Australia, I think it's going to be taking place in the Sydney area, isn't it? So I'm super excited. I might even fly over myself.
Yes, so the first one is going to be Sydney, but we're looking at other places as well, so that it might be a little bit more tropical as well at some stage.
Wow, sounds amazing, and worth even flying across the world for, I think, as well. So fantastic. Tell me a bit about your training. So for people listening, there are a lot of people listening, I guess, going through really tough breakups. They've been, well, like I have, to hell and back with a broken heart and divorce and affairs and being left on your own as a single parent, managing toxic relationship recovery, all those things. And then they find my training. Now, you came across the training, Kerstin. Tell us a little bit about the story, about how you found me and why you decided to do the training. Tell us what you enjoyed about it and how it worked for you.
So yes, I found you online because I think you come up right up there as the divorce coach. And I thought it sounded really good what you were offering. And then I looked into your training and I thought this would be exactly what I need to help people through their separation, because obviously I can deal with the legal problems, but they need more than the legal help. They need help with getting through the trauma and everything else, like you just said. And then I decided to, basically do the training for the divorce coach. And then after that, I looked at what other options there are. And then the master practitioner was obviously up there because I deal a lot with domestic violence. And I thought it's always good to just get more training on it. So I thought that was really good. And I really got a lot out of that. And then when I saw that you're running the retreat training in the UK, I thought this is the perfect opportunity to learn directly from you how to do it. And I didn't even think twice. I booked the flight and did it. And it was really worth it. It was such a great experience to do it. And I really look forward to run the retreats and to do it here in Australia.
I'm super excited that you're doing that. I think, it's great to see we've trained people. I think we've trained over 800 coaches now across 30 different countries. And I know the Australians, they're so passionate. Like all our Australian coaches are super passionate. You get up at crazy hours to join me on Zooms and help and get involved and fly across the world. In fact, all of you have been over to the UK. And there aren't that many of you over in Australia, but you've all been over to the UK several times. And you came over for our international breakup and divorce coach conference back in November. You were over for the platinum retreat that I run, which trains you how to run the retreats. And now you're actually putting it into practice and actually delivering retreats out in Australia, which is super, super exciting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you get on with those and how many people you can help, because it's really going to blow the doors off what's out there at the moment. At the moment, people's options are therapy, maybe a bit of counseling. That's great, and it can help some people. But what we offer is practical tools, fast, transformational, changes that will last for a lifetime. It's a toolkit of life skills you can use not just with your breakup, but to heal you and then take forward into all walks of life. And it can also help you with your children, can't it? So navigating those difficult challenges where maybe you feel guilty for your children, or maybe they're not coping very well. But the toolkit we use on our clients also works for children too, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. I think, I've learned so much from you. I'm really grateful. I think it was definitely such a great skill to have to share with people and to get them through it. So yes, thank you.
Kerstin, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience that we haven't covered today? Anything that you think is important that we haven't touched on about your work and what you do, or about what's coming up for you?
Well, exciting is that we have written the book together. So I think that was definitely one of the big highlights for the last year and early this year to do that. So that was definitely great experience. And apart from that, as I said, I'm quite excited that I've got online courses going now. So I'm looking forward to run them and really looking forward to do the retreats. So that's for me the big main things that are coming up at the moment. Obviously, I'm still working in my law firm as well. So if anyone needs legal advice or help, happy to help them if they are in Australia. Not sure how many people are listening from Australia, but definitely there if anyone needs help with it.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about the book. So Emotional Alchemy is a book that I've written, and Kerstin is a co-author with me. We have 19 coaches from my training school that are also co-authors. And your chapter is amazing because it talks about your journey, what you do, and gives some advice about how you can help people going through these situations. Tell us just a little bit about your chapter and what's in store when they get their copy of Emotional Alchemy, which is out on Amazon and is a best-selling book. So congratulations on being a best-selling author and an accredited breakup, divorce, and domestic abuse coach. It's a big title.
Thank you. Same to you. So yes, I'm writing essentially how I grew up in Germany on a farm and what I've been through in my childhood and how to look at it and how to essentially, like, because I grew up on a farm, we had one of the sayings was, if you fall off the horse, get back on it, rather than dwelling on it and moving on with your life. So one of my early lessons was just keep going. Get on with it. Don't dwell on things for too long. So that's one of the things I'm writing about in my book, or my chapter of the book. And then also about how I moved from Germany to Australia. That's one of the big things for me in terms of what happened in my life, because obviously that was life-changing. And it was something I never planned. So it just happened. And for that reason, it was a big part of my life. And now I'm writing about also what I'm doing now, which is essentially helping people in their divorces.
I think your story is super inspiring. That whole life change where you pick up everything and you move to a different side of the world, is super inspiring. I think a lot of people listening will be at the point where they're looking at that reinvention. In fact, at the moment, there's a trend on Instagram, I don't know if you've seen it, of people posting photos from 2016 to show how far they've come in a decade. And I was working on it this morning, actually, with my social team. And I was sort of going through trying to find pictures of what I was doing in 2016. And my divorce was finalized in 2012. And the next few years of reinvention were tough. I mean, I was literally, like you said, I love that analogy of just get back up if you fall off the horse. You kind of have to claw your way back up if you fall to the depths that I fell to with the ugly crying.
Sometimes you also have to chase the horse, not just crawl back on. The horse might have already been bolted. But yeah.
Exactly. And I was looking back at those photos and I was definitely doing that. I was definitely like trying different things and different stages and even different looks, and people talk about a physical glow up. I mean, I was did my hair differently. I know that a lot of people do that, try different things to figure out who you are now. It's a big identity shift and change. And I think, looking back at that big life change for you and how you then adapted and what you did to make that a success is really inspiring. So I'm excited the book's out. It's available on Amazon. It is a bestseller. It's called Emotional Alchemy and you can find it on Amazon. So grab a copy and make sure you read Kerstin's chapter. And it's packed full of inspiring stories, very similar to that. And my chapter's in the front of the book as well. So I know that will help a lot of people who are listening. So thank you so much for being part of that project as well, Kerstin. It's been a pleasure training with you, working with you, and I am super excited to see what comes next. So where can people find you, Kerstin, if they want to find out about your information and your retreats? And also I know you've got some quizzes online and free guides like your separation survival kit. Where can they find all of this for free? Where is it?
So it's like we have the website, as I said, recharged-divorcecoach.com. So a lot of the information is there. Our blogs are on there, the free resources, a lot of free guides. Quizzes are on there. We've, for example, got the separation survival kit on there. We also are on Instagram. Then we're also on Facebook with Re-Charge Divorce Coach. So you'll find us on there as well if you're looking for us. But the easiest would probably be the website.
Yeah. Brilliant. So recharge-divorcecoach.com. Go to the website. Loads of free stuff that you can download that will help you. Plus find out information about how you can get along to Australia's first breakup recovery retreat, which is super exciting. Kerstin, last question for you that I ask all my guests. Obviously, my podcast is called Heartbreak to Happiness. What is happiness for you?
Well, happiness for me is walking along the beach here with my dogs and thinking about my next big adventures, how I can help people through their divorces. And also, obviously, I'm very happy. I've got 2 almost grown-up children now, and I'm quite happy that they turned out the way they turned out. So I'm really happy with that as well. So that's happiness for me, I think.
I love that. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story and all your exciting news. Very excited to have you on. It's always great to speak to one of my accredited coaches who's out in the world, doing super well and helping lots and lots of people. So wishing you all the best with your retreat coming up. And thank you so much for being a fabulous guest.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to be there. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. If you'd like to find out more about Kerstin, do head over to her website to find out more. Do like, subscribe and follow on the podcast and all that good stuff. And I very much look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
That's it for today's episode of Heartbreak to Happiness. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to win a free ticket to Sarah's virtual Heartbreak to Happiness retreat. This is a transformative combination of live webinars with Sarah herself, coupled with her empowering online video program designed to help you cope better with your breakup and start feeling happy again. Thank you, and join us again on the next episode for another dose of Heartbreak to Happiness.